Episode 470. Messages from players kept scrolling through the channel. That single question had long since been buried in the flood of messages, but there was no way it could be erased from the minds of the undercover agents. The undercover agents stared fixedly at their screens, their eyes glued to the chat window, waiting to see if Lord Grimm would reply. They were hoping Lord Grimm hadn't seen that question, that he hadn't made the same sharp, sudden turn back to reality that they had. Lord Grimm hadn't spoken in the guild channel, but he had sent a message in the team channel.
Hey everyone, good work.
Seeing this line suddenly appear after Lord Grimm's name, the group quickly replied,
Oh no,
it's no trouble at all,
It's
really.
no trouble at all.
No, it's nothing, really. It's what I should do.
The undercover agents spoke against their true feelings. From the perspective of slaying the guardian demon god, their claim of no hardship was genuine. But from the standpoint of their own intentions, this battle had been an incredibly grueling ordeal.
So, what's next?
Lord Grimm spoke up again. What's next? The others were a bit confused.
Stay or go, it's up to you.
Lord Grimm tossed out another line, followed by a very enthusiastic smiley face. The spies were dumbfounded. They finally realized they hadn't dispelled Lord Grimm's suspicions in the slightest. From the very beginning, they were under suspicion, but the other side still had the guts to take them to fight the guardian demon god, because they had the strength. They controlled the field so completely, creating a situation where you simply couldn't make a mistake. The team channel fell completely silent. Lord Grimm didn't disband the team, and even Happy's members like Soft Mist remained in the party. No one spoke. This time, the spies didn't even bother with private chats. They all reported directly to their superiors. The QQ spy group chat set up by the major guilds immediately lit up with a flurry of new messages. Blue River was already too frazzled to bother with any of these schemes.
Lord Grimm has always been this cunning.
The leader of the Samsara Guild's 10th server, Solitary Shadow, said hatefully. This was the impression Yi Shu had left on him from the very beginning, and it seemed utterly indelible. At this point, he wasn't even concerned about how blatant their grand spy plan had been. He was still analyzing the problem from the angle that it wasn't a lack of effort on their part, but rather that their opponent was just too cunning.
This team is useless now. No point keeping them around. Since Lord Grimm has already grown suspicious like this.
The president of Herb Garden, South Star, said.
But there's one place everyone should have noticed.
Zhang Yu of Tyrannical Ambition continued. As for Spring Rain of Blue Brook Guild, whenever things got to this point, he'd always chime in with a word or two out of nowhere, just to remind everyone he was still there, that he wasn't just thin air.
Sure, most of them are our plants, but there's at least one person in that team who isn't ours. A genuine high-level player who actually wants to join Happy.
Zhang Yu spoke up. Indeed, Night Frost Gorge naturally backed up his own guild leader. He immediately pulled up the previous chat logs to provide supporting evidence. The various guilds have reported their numbers of undercover agents. That 20-person team does indeed have one member whose origin is unclear.
Now I want to know, is this person someone you're deliberately hiding?
Zhang Yu asked.
Of course not.
Guyan said immediately. The representatives from the other families also declared that they had not falsified anything.
If that's the case, I think most of us should withdraw for now, leaving just a small team behind. We should work on building a good relationship with this extra player. Since his identity is genuine, he could serve as excellent cover for us. If necessary, we can even bring him directly over to our side.
Wouldn't that be a bit redundant?
Tiananxing said.
The biggest problem this time was that we didn't think things through thoroughly enough. Our character levels are obviously way too high for the 10th server. Lord Grimm is a veteran player. He must have anticipated we'd try to infiltrate his guild. With a whole bunch of high-level characters showing up out of nowhere, how could he not get suspicious? These people are completely exposed now. Trying to keep pushing for them is pointless. I think we should just pull out entirely and pick new characters to infiltrate at a more opportune time.
In that case, why don't you folks from Herb Hall pull out first?
As Zhang Yu spoke, Tian Nanxing was about to make a decision when a thought suddenly clicked in his mind, and he immediately said,
If we retreat, we all retreat together. We stand or fall as one.
The words hung in the air, and the more perceptive among them immediately caught the implication. To be honest, Zhang Yu's so-called cover plan really isn't all that necessary. Did he propose this plan specifically because he figured no one else would agree with it? Take Herb Hall just now, for example. If they had just pulled their characters out after hearing Zhang Yu's words, it wouldn't have affected their infiltration of the Happy Guild at all. However, these 3 alt accounts from Herb Garden had to be exposed. Before this, while the alts were already out in the open, at least it wasn't clear which account belonged to which guild. Then again, 3 burner accounts aren't a big deal for these club guilds. Sometimes they can even just buy them. But that's just how it is with guild rivalries. They never miss a single detail they can exploit. If we don't notice this little detail today, and later try to use those wild accounts that expose their origins, being found out is one thing. The real danger is that they could turn our own plan against us. The thought gave them all pause, and a heavy silence fell. It was actually Chunyi Lao, the one who was always the most silent in the group chat, who finally spoke up.
Who leaves? Who stays?
Chunyi Lao had finally spoken up, but in that moment, it was as if he'd possessed every single leader in the discussion group. Not a single one of them made a peep. The discussion group fell silent. Over at the Happy Guild, the pile of moles were feeling particularly awkward. Yi Shu had laid down the challenge, but they were at a loss for what to do next. They'd asked the higher-ups for instructions, but the leadership still hadn't made a decision. The team still hadn't been disbanded. Lord Grimm, Windward Formation, and even Soft Mist and Steamed Bun Invasion were still in it. They had no idea what those few were up to, but the undercover agents all felt thoroughly exposed. But the moment a spy confesses their identity with their own words, that is the most glorious moment of all. But if someone else points out that you're the mole, that's undoubtedly the most awkward and uncomfortable position to be in. Lord Grimm's words weren't fully spelled out, but the meaning between the lines was clear to everyone. They were under complete suspicion, yet he hadn't forced them to leave. That meant he was utterly confident. A spy who's already been exposed is worthless to their own side. All they do is give the enemy a chance to run a counterintelligence operation. The logic was simple enough, so why were their leaders taking so long to make a decision? Little did they know the guilds in the discussion group were already at each other's throats again. Blue River was the exception. As the leader of Blue Rain Pavilion's 10th server, he was also in that discussion group. Caught between these two conflicting feelings, he suddenly felt so tired. He'd been in the guild scene for a long time. He'd seen this kind of inter-guild rivalry plenty. The style of doing things where you had to stay on your guard even when you were supposed to be cooperating. As a core leader, he had always operated this way. But ever since arriving on the 10th server, the major guilds had been consistently suppressed by Lord Grimm, and even now, at a time like this, they still couldn't stop their internal squabbling. They'd scheme and counter-scheme over something as trivial as a couple of wild accounts. It all left Blue River with a profound sense of helplessness.